Looking for the ultimate sea view getaway? Then Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 Miles Philip Golson Highway near the Halover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartment, studios, sea view rooms, or suites, all with flat screen television, hot and cold bath, and unlimited access to a spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool with 6 to 4 feet depth, so you can enjoy that fun and refreshing dive or dip in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can. Looking for the ultimate sea view getaway? Then Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 Miles Philip Golson Highway near the Halover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartment, studios, sea view rooms, or suites, all with flat screen television, hot and cold bath, and unlimited access to a spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool with 6 to 4 feet depth, so you can enjoy that fun and refreshing dive or dip in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can relax and unwind on our overwater or poolside decks. Contact us at 501-615-4485, 65 or 67. Looking for the ultimate sea view getaway? Then Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 Miles Philip Golson Highway near the Halover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartment, studios, sea view rooms, or suites, all with flat screen television, hot and cold bath, and unlimited access to a spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool with 6 to 4 feet depth, so you can enjoy that fun and refreshing dive or dip in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can relax and unwind on our overwater or poolside decks. Contact us at 501-615-4485, 65 or 67. Looking for the ultimate sea view getaway? Then Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 miles Philip Golson Highway near the Halover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartment, studios, sea view rooms, or suites, all with flat screen television, hot and cold bath, an unlimited access to a spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool with 6 to 4 feet depth, so you can enjoy that fun and refreshing dive or dip in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can relax and unwind on our overwater or poolside decks. Contact us at 501-615-4485, 65 or 67.
The Moya Show. I am your host, Zenaida. It is indeed a pleasure on this lovely Tuesday night. March is almost over. I can't say I'm happy about that because, April comes holiday. And while some of us may be happy, teachers may be happy, school counselors may be happy. I'm not sure about parents. I'm not sure about parents. Well, tonight we have in studio, and before we go, as usual, share the live. Again, we're on YouTube as well. We're on LinkedIn and other mediums. But of course, normally I'm here, I normally communicate on Facebook. I did say I was going to start communicating on YouTube. However,
looking for the ultimate sea getaway?
I may be
then Sea Belize Vacation
more
Rentals and Tours, located at 5 miles Philip Golson
Tonight we
Highway near the
have
Halover
with
Bridge.
us
Is your
lovely
perfect
Miss
sea view
Janicia
getaway.
Sanker.
Come relax in one of our beautiful
First of all, she's a school counselor
sea view
at
apartment,
Nazarene High School,
studios,
and she's known for her bright smile, her bubbly personality, and for being a woman of faith. All right, that's definitely an extreme positive. Her passion for working with people is seen in her work and mission all over Belize and her full-time job as a guidance counselor. She holds a bachelor's degree in social work, and since 2017, she has poured into the lives of hundreds of young people and continues to stretch herself to support them even though they're adults now. Ms. Sanker is also known for her singing. I've gotten a chance to see a video with her singing. And so, and a young man was with you, I'm not sure, your nephew. Okay, you said that was his first time singing that particular video. Okay, he was playing the guitar. Yes, so she's known for her singing with different choirs and praise team and hosting of different events. Her hobbies include traveling, cooking, and swimming. Hey, those are my hobbies.
Really?
Yes,
Great.
yes. Well, not the cooking, eating, but definitely the traveling and the swimming, okay? So yeah, we'd be okay. Cooking, eating. Ms. Sanker is a woman of integrity who is motivated to continue bringing a change to our Joel. Good night and welcome, Ms. Sanker. Let me make sure that Janicia, I have a niece, Janicia, so welcome.
Thank you so much, and it's my pleasure to be here and to be in your presence. I must say you are somebody that I have admired over the years. Your legacy is really, really motivating to women and even younger women. I'm not trying to say her, but
That's okay.
it's very motivating, and it's lovely to meet you, and it's very admirable. So
Thank
I'm
you.
honored as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I can call you Janicia?
Yes,
Is that
please.
okay? Okay. Thank you, Janicia. It's an honor and a pleasure to meet you as well. You know, I've heard a lot of good things about you, and you come highly recommended. Must say your colleague, you know, recommends you highly, and someone who, and I think I also saw there was a Nazarene. I think at some point there was a video. I think someone had run onto Nazarene High School. I'm not sure it was you running out as a school counselor. I'm not sure. I think it was you. They had it was just through the back. You know, when you were running. It was. I think that was in 2019. I think when there was some incident. Someone had run onto Nazarene High School. I'm not sure. Were you there?
I'm not quite sure what.
It was an intruder. An intruder. So they were interviewing this. Is he a sensei? A sensei. It's just teaching students how to handle
yes,
things.
We were doing
Assimilation. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, guys. Again, I normally go on Facebook to ensure that I bring in our viewers and just to say hi and hello to them. But tonight we're going to discuss a very important topic. It was from last year March. Year before.
Yes,
wow,
before.
time flies. March 2020. Mid-March, I think school closed.
Yeah.
And with that, we had to go into distance learning for a while. It took a little while, and then afterwards they set up themselves, and it had to be distance learning. It has definitely had some effects on us, and we want to discuss that tonight. I see that there's a move to ensure that by August this year, we will go into full in-class, right?
Yes.
All over the country. I support that fully. Let me just tell you, I am one of those persons who absolutely love teachers. I totally appreciate teachers, counselors. They are extremely, man, when you hear about that goal. You understand? Because persons and parents like me, you know, I can't say I'm the best teacher like that. Like I wasn't that. I tried, you know. I must say I tried, but it's not something that I believe I was the best at. You know, and then I was juggling. You know, I was juggling, trying to, you know, manage a business, juggling, trying to, you know, head an organization, and just also trying to be a full-time parent was a bit much, all right? Especially if you have a little daughter like mine. Kelvin he doesn't give me trouble, but the little Natalia, the little 7-year-old. And so we're going to discuss that, because we're going to discuss the effects on students, on parents, on teachers, and of course on society. And with that said, you heard a little bit about me as a parent. I mean, I will interject every so often, but and let me just say, I will just say this before I go on. When it comes to the students, in the case of my 2 children, Kelvin and Natalia, both of them did not like distance learning.
Okay.
They absolutely did not like it. They repeatedly said that they miss their classmates, they miss being in the classroom, they miss their teachers. They actually miss their teachers. So see, that's a positive. Awesome teachers. And so they didn't like it. And when the opportunity came that they said, okay, you can go ahead and you can send your child to school, well, I didn't ask any questions. I just checked. I looked at the date. I spoke with both of them. I said, you guys sure you want to go? And they said, yes, mommy, we want to go. And they were, at one point it was only, I think it was one child, it was only Kelvin, I think at one point, or I think it was just him and another young man. And then Natalia, it was just her and I think one other student at one point at any given time. And so, but I'm also somebody who walked the talk. So what I speak about, I had said, and this is my view, and I won't put you on the spot at all about how you feel about the vaccine at all, but for me, I simply felt that by all the research done, that the COVID, the scare of the COVID was not of that high a magnitude for children that would prevent them from not going to school. And so hence the reason why I sent them to school, because we saw that they would have a 99.9% recovery rate for young children. And so it's not like I wasn't being irresponsible. I was just, looking at those particular research figures or statistics, and that is what I went for. So I just wanted to put that there. But now, you as a school counselor, you're the one who was right in it with hundreds of children, and so I want to hear your feedback on how you feel the distance learning has affected children, and even what you've heard from parents, okay? And then, of course, we need to hear how teachers were feeling, what they thought about it, how their lives have changed. And, it's important because if such an occurrence happened, it is something that we have already had a test run. And, you either sink or you swim. And I think to a great extent, parents swam. That's my view. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's how it is. So go ahead, Janicia.
All right. So thank you. And again, welcome to everyone who is online. And thank you again for having me here.
Yes.
I totally agree with you when you said that parents swam, because I know that, I'm certain there were times when they felt like they were drowning, but they had times, for the most part, I think parents try to get it together. Yes. Areas of drowning definitely exist as well, which will come up at some point tonight, but yes. So I would like to, how I see it, I would say that the effects of this has been, I would say, in 4 different areas: physically, psychologically, definitely, physically, psychologically, academic-wise, and financially in terms of their relation to school. So that's how I classify it in 4 different areas.
Yes.
And for me, I said, man, I can see the effects here physically, I can see the effects psychologically, I can see in the academic and the financial wise in relation to school. But then I said, firstly, let me note that the entire thing was dropped on them out of the blues. They had no clue what this was. All of a sudden, yes, we're here saying, oh, it affected them here, yeah, it affected them there. But when you looked at it, this just came from nowhere and just dropped on them. And the kids, in a split instant, they had to learn how to learn from a distance.
Yes.
In relation to learning the traditional way where your teacher is right beside you. And to the extent I remember, your teacher would put their hand on top of your hand and help you to hold the pen. Imagine that to the extreme opposite.
Yes.
Right? So all of a sudden, all of that had to be just thrown on top of a child.
Yes.
And on top of a parent, and so it's a huge...
Especially young children.
Exactly,
I think
babies.
The hardest thing were on young children, but just quickly, I just want to say, Nancy De Paz, blessed good night, my friend. Jacqueline and Jake Booth, good night. Nazri Nasia Martin, good night, my friend. She says, blessings to you and your guests. This lockdown will turn out to be the biggest mistake in history. In some parts of the world and in Belize, we already are behind in the education system. A great amount of kids has not returned to the classroom and some will never go back. So I just wanted to at least let you know we're already getting certain comments and so forth, no? But go ahead, sorry.
Yes, and that is so true. So like I was saying, in terms of this close-knit culture that we have and this close way of learning, everything just had to change in a split second and just dropped on them. And you know, if it affects us so much as adults, imagine a baby.
Yes.
Imagine kids.
Yes.
Right? And so.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because you know what I noted? I said, my little daughter she turned 7 January. She turned 7 January. And she was, of course, when this started, how old would she have been? Because it's been 2 years, right? It's been 2 years.
It started 2020 of
2020,
March.
yeah. So
2021,
her birthday is January 15th. So she had just, she was already 5. And she was just overwhelmed. But she was tiny. So I think it was so much more difficult for a little child, more so than I think high schoolers probably could have dealt with it, and probably sixth form and above, or tertiary level students could have handled it, but I'm not sure about those little children.
I think when it comes to the effects for the little children, yes, it was bad for them, but I feel like for high schoolers it was almost as bad.
1 second, I just want to say, we're gonna, let's just, because I want to fix this mic, so we're just gonna put it on it's a higher one, so just, just go to a quick 1 minute ad break, guys, just one minute, let's just try and fix this mic. All right, and thank you, Nancy, the set does look nice indeed.
Looking for the ultimate sea view getaway? Then Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 miles to the Ocean Highway near the Hanover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartments. Studios.
So what you do, just tape it so that it not drop too, right? Yeah.
Sea view rooms.
Right? Yeah, please.
Or suites, all with flat screen television. Hot and cold bath.
Alright, good. You okay?
Yes.
And unlimited access to a spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool
I could put it like this
with
because
6 to 4
Whatever is, I want to be,
vision.
yeah, I want to be
refreshing
comfortable.
dive
Just be
or dip
comfortable.
in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can relax and unwind on our overwater or poolside decks. Contact us at 501-615-4485, 65 or 67.
Welcome back. Again, for those who have just joined us, we have Miss Janicia Sanker, school counselor at Nazarene High School. I must say Nazarene is one of those good schools that we hear a lot of good things about, and you play a role in that. And so we're very pleased and honored to have you on the show. All right, in Belize City. So go ahead. We were discussing about the effects even on the children.
Yes. So we were saying that when it comes to the effects with the children, it's something that I feel like yes, maybe tertiary level is probably the only one that had it a little bit easier because they, a little bit more flexible in getting work done. But some of these high schoolers, they're just learning everything about a computer and stuff like that. So I think it was as bad as the younger one, as the babies in infant one and primary school.
You're correct. You're quite right, because what I found, and I guess different high schools, because there may be 1 and 2 of the private high schools that the students may have already, some of them were already more familiar with laptops or computers. So maybe they were an exception, all right? They were outliers. However, in general, I saw at the beginning, because recall at the beginning, what the ministry was doing, they were sending out, it was you go and pick up your newspaper. It was like newspaper, you go and pick it up. And the other thing was, they had like something on, I think it was like Love FM was one of them, which I thought was totally not helpful. I did mention it to a particular person, official. I did let them know my concern and my dismay and my displeasure because I felt this was how it was. Love FM had this thing, but with it, they were speaking, but with it you had ads running. And I'm like, how would kids
pay attention?
Pay attention? And you had that, and the ads were running, and I'm not sure if I guess they were paying Love FM, or was it a public notice thing? What was it, why they were playing ads during it? I'm not sure. I just saw ads during this thing, and I was like, huh? And I watched Natalia, and Natalia was like, I was like, what is this? This is a waste of time.
I thought the same thing until I heard that it was something that actually happened in other countries as well.
Okay.
So it wasn't something unique to Belize. And I was like, because I did thought about that. I was like, how can I? And I remember I called my aunts down south and I said, do you guys have the kids listening? She's like, yes, I'm trying to control them. I'm trying to get them to focus to listen on the radio. And I thought this thing sound really difficult, but then I learned other countries,
they were trying.
They were doing
it was their first time
radio thing as well.
What I like was when some teachers, because I had told them when I called the particular official, I said, listen, try and put some teachers there so we see them. I was serious because I was upset. I said, put some teachers there. At least the students can see teachers. They need to be able to focus on something someone who means something. A teacher means something to you. That's the person who is relaying information to you. And so I said, do that. Well, I saw them put in teachers. They did have, and I was like happy. But at the same time, the most things like that they were pushing was like wash your hand and social distance.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask. I was like, this is ridiculous now. Like, really? Like they were just, I didn't find it meaningful either. I was like, what is up with Ministry of Education? Like, what's wrong with them? Like, I had issues with them. I'll be upfront with you. Maybe you can't speak. I can speak. I was like, who the heck is running the Ministry of Education? You guys really, I had concerns about them. I didn't think they were doing a good job at all. I thought it was poor. I thought it was simple enough that at least show 1 and 2 teachers speaking and discussing, but initially from the onset they should have done that. Why would they have wasted people's time? And when Nazri speaks about that we're already behind the education system, there are some schools that they were moving in a good direction, because I had to be looking. I had to see what is happening. But I'll be frank with you, Belize we were really, 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 really behind. You understand? And it's not like we don't have good teachers who could have done so. I think we have good teachers. I just feel that it was the curriculum, it was the effecting of the curriculum, the implementation of whatever this online learning curriculum was going to be. I think what happened. They had to minimize. They had to reduce the subjects, and they reduced everything.
Yes,
right?
they went down to like the major subjects. So I guess they had to pull out which one exactly they wanted to do, and I guess that was the first phase of them trying to get it together, and so eventually they started to do more intentional stuff, and then the teachers came on, and they started to the package in the newspaper. So I guess it was a way of exploring different options and getting there slowly, but I think it took all of us a while. And like I said, for me, I felt just like you until I heard other countries were in actually worse conditions than us. And literally, you know, the kids not getting absolutely nothing and trying that same radio thing, trying one teacher for a commute for villages. Like, it was crazy in other parts of the world. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're doing something.
You know what? And you bring up villages. If I was having problem with village, technically I'm right at the perimeter of Belize City. Some people may say Ladyville, I'm not sure. You know, I've worked in Freetown, but it's like literally just less than a minute away from Hanover Bridge. So I don't know. So like I'm not really into the village area, but sufficient to say that in the rural areas now, and Ladyville isn't really a rural. Ladyville is like a town already. It should have already been a town, but hey, hold off, right? What I can say, how were they managing? How were these schools managing? I mean, if it was rough on us, you know, what was happening to them who they may not have had internet? Because I did see, with fairness, the ministry did try to work something out with Digicel, with BTL, to try and get internet to some of these houses that needed them, these students' homes that needed them, at the expense of us, of course, because we who were paying regular rate for our packages, I saw, like, I was paying the highest level that I could, you know, because I do have a business. But I was definitely not even getting half of what I was paying for. So for me, I think they were like taking some from me to give to parents, to some, you know, other households. So so even Digicel was having problems trying to deal with so many households online. During the day.
And I think that's when the whole package started, and then the package was the priority, and I think even now it's still a priority in some schools. You know, they still make it because of that internet issue.
Yes. So we know some students were definitely suffering. I saw recently what is it called? BJAC? What is that?
I think it's Belize diagnostic test. It's a diagnostic test to evaluate that's for primary school.
Okay, yeah, because Kelvin and Natalia had to do it.
Yeah, it's a diagnostic test to assess, I guess, where they're at.
Yeah, because, I don't know, Kelvin is extremely smart. He has always been smart. Always been on a roll, an honor roll student, and he was doing well. But I'm telling you, Natalia and Kelvin didn't like being online at all. But Natalia was really struggling. That little girl really struggled. And you know who struggled the most? Moi.
You did.
I did. I struggled the most.
And I could understand that because when you go into a baby's class, you see how primary school or a kindergarten lower level teacher, how they can just get them to understand these things. And I do one segment of teaching. I teach life skills, but to the level where a teacher goes, where they study pedagogical training, I am not there. And I admire. So that's when I pull my little counselor's zone, because I'm like, man, I'm not that good. And I look at them and how they can get the kid to understand that and get the letters. And so I can imagine how a parent that doesn't have that training.
We don't have that skill.
Can get a child to learn that concept.
Yes.
It had to be very, very difficult for a parent.
It
had
was.
to be.
What is this saying they call it? What is it you call a horse whisperer? You know, they have little horse whisperer, you know, people who can get horses to do stuff or animals to
Train
do
them.
stuff. Yeah. So these kids needed that, you know, like my daughter needed that, you know. She didn't need me.
Yeah.
I wasn't that person that she needed at all.
It had to be hard. It
Yeah,
definitely
it was,
had to be hard for
man,
parents.
it was frustrating. I can just probably...
And even for the kids, because the babies, if we're talking about the babies, you know, they get frustrated at this whole lot of paper in front of them.
Yes.
And it's come, we need to do this one, and you need to do another one, and you know, and
There came a point in time she didn't care. She would be there and she'd be like, teacher, when is this class going to end?
oh wow.
And I was like, all the time, like I would be there like, oh my gosh. And every time, teacher, when is this class going to end? How much longer are we going to be in here? Because she's very articulate when it comes to that. You know, so it was just so much on them. And I would see, like, sometimes I would peep, you know. I didn't come to the level where you see some parents not know what is happening, that, you know, that they're being seen. I would be like peeping to see what is happening. And I would see the kids doing their own things. Some of them, they're there with a dog, they're with a cat, and they're like doing all kinds of things.
And even that, the teachers were creative because sometimes they had bring your pet on camera day, and I saw them do that for the baby. They had to come up with ways.
But the effect on children, I think that for those 2 years, and understand that you have parents like me who were quick to send our children to school. Immediately, you said, Monday they can go. Monday morning they're there. Right? So that's me. That's my 2 kids. Monday morning they would be there. Then you have those other parents who were afraid and their kids stayed at home. And if those parents don't have that training, and this has nothing to do with the level of education, because you know, I do have a master's degree and I've studied law after that, so this have nothing to do with that. This is what you call it,
Pedagogy.
All right, so that this has to do with that.
Yes.
And maybe you can explain what that is. Maybe you can explain what that is.
Well, that's the study that teachers do to learn how to teach. And like you're saying, like we were saying, parents don't have pedagogical training. They don't know how to get that concept across.
None.
And so that's where I really admire teachers, how they can do that, you know, and just bring
We
the
love you,
message
teachers.
Yes,
We love you. We love you, teachers. You guys are awesome. You are awesome, and that's why we always love you. Thank you very much, teachers. Thank you very much, teachers. And I mean that. I mean, what we see you guys do, like we tried, and you know what? We have had parents who I have seen certain parents be negative. Yeah, so don't think like there's just parents like me who are like so happy that you guys exist. You know, you guys are the best thing since sliced bread, but there are some parents who I saw them and some of them felt that they could do it alone, that they don't need to send their children back to school and teachers this, but it was difficult for you guys too, because you guys, just like us, have family. You guys had to make sure you set up your stuff, and you have to be there in front of these students. You have to, when they send work, you still have to check their work and ensure that the curriculum is met, and at least hope that the students are learning and get them focused. So I know that you guys had a lot too, right?
Yes. And when I look at, like you said, like teachers who are parents, they're going through all of that to try to help you as a parent from home. But at the same time, they have their own kid at home as well. And imagine, you know, their kids have their own packages, and you see how long it takes to do your package and to watch and make sure they're focused online. And then they have to do that for your kids. So it was really, really difficult.
Because those kids' teachers are not there with them either. Those teachers' children are at home, just like how my child is at home.
And they have to teach your kids.
And they have to teach.
So it was a lot.
So it was a lot. And I saw, I don't want to bring up names, but I saw recently that it was shown that there was a teacher, I believe she was out in San Pedro. I think you know of the incident. And I think this teacher got a little bit, you know, she got a little bit frustrated. And just like how you have road rage, some of us were driving and we get road rage. Some of us get road rage. I'm guilty of it too. You know, I'm like, sometimes I just want to run over someone. That's the same thing with, I believe, you know, these teachers, some of these teachers, hey, whatever may have happened, but I can only imagine that some teachers who they are speaking to students and the students are not listening, or the students don't seem to grasp it, or they're not prepared. They don't prepare for the class. I can see how some teachers could be very, very, very upset.
And the funny thing with that scenario, I actually asked my students how they felt about it. And I was so surprised at what they said. They were honestly on the side of that teacher. They were not saying, Miss, nobody. Yes, they said, you know, Miss, nobody should talk to us like that and stuff like that. And some of them were like, Miss, my mom tell me worse thing than that. And so I'm like, okay, let's get back. And then, but for the most part, I remember one student particular, she took over, because I have a little program with them. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, that I provide psychosocial help for them. And so in that program that I have for them, we spoke about that. And I remember this particular student, she came on, her name is Faith, and she's like, Miss, well, to be honest, I know we frustrate teachers sometimes, and she's a little vocal, right? And she's like, I can see why they get frustrated, Miss, because I see you guys telling us to turn on your cameras. I see you talking to us over and over, Miss, and I know we can be very disrespectful. So I know she got frustrated and she was all out of this teacher's side. And so I think they know exactly what they do and they're guilty of it. So I can see where anybody could get to that point.
Yes, and I see certain comments and so forth, you know. Again, guys, we're also on YouTube. So for those persons who you know, because I do know I have people who wanted to watch the show, they don't have Facebook. Okay. So since last week, we have ensured that we're on YouTube, because prior to that, YouTube was taking down our if you speak against COVID vaccine, they take you down. And so that is what was happening. So I'm not saying, again, guys, just for those people who don't have a Facebook account and you know that they wanted to watch it, just please make sure that you share it. Just go ahead and share the live, no? But, yeah, 1 second. 1 second. Just, this person is commenting. Yeah, and then in studios, I just want to say we do have our technician, Mr. Marvin Martinez. We have Kelvin in the house. All right. I'm not sure if I can mention this person's name. I won't say his name. But check her. So, yeah, but let me just say that when we got back to, I think recently, I think the ministry said, you know what, 1 second, Kelvin? Yeah, so when we went on board and today is March the 29th. And school started and everybody was to have gone back to school. So far, how many persons have do you know of, like, or even if you can just speak from your school, have sent their kids back? Is it everybody?
It's not everybody, but I think for the most part, well, I can speak for my school. A lot of our kids want to come so much that we have to tell them, guys, too many of you are here in this class. If you are part of the shift system or online, make sure you're in that part of it. And so definitely you see, well, I have been seeing a lot of parents sending their kids. Indeed, especially now, I think it's getting they're getting a lot more comfortable now and more trusting, I would say.
Okay, and when it comes to the teachers, what are their take on it? Are they, because I have, you know, in the case of one of my one of my child, I know of particular teachers that, you know, if they could avoid going to school, they would not go to school, because they try to push for my child to not have gone to school. You have to remember, my child was just one of 2 students in the class from the onset. And I felt, I won't call any name, and I'm not saying which child, but I felt that was unfair, because, you know, no, this is where this one comes in, is that we are following COVID protocols. That included spacing of chairs. There were only 2 students in the class, right? So it you know, they were very, you know, when you go there, you have to wash your hand and everything, and they clean and so forth. And have morning class for the younger ones, and in the afternoon they have older kids. Now, particular teachers were clamoring for my child not to go to school so that they could stay home. And I'm not all of them, and I won't say name, but it was like 2 in particular, but one really, really was pushing it more, right? And I want to know if, in fact, certain teachers may have preferred that the school not open and everything is done online because it is more convenient on them. And if it's more convenient on them, isn't that a bit selfish? You know, you could say, okay, well, you want your child to go to school. Yeah, children are to be in school. As a matter of fact, Dr. Zuniga, and let me just state this right then and here. Dr. Zuniga, and Dr. Zuniga is my very good friend. He said he had already spoken about it, and he said distance learning is a destroyer of social cohesion, which was already lacking. Distance learning is not for any education level below undergrad, and some never. You can teach physics and chemistry by distance education when the sense like smell, taste, etc. plays a key role. Children learn by playing. Playing in children is a must. It is not mischief. It is a key part of their psychomotor development, right? And this is coming from Dr. Zuniga, all right? So he didn't support it, because right through this whole 2 years, I mean, even before him and I used to always communicate, but I'm telling you, during these 2 years, we were communicating every day. And he was totally not in support of that. So when I'm telling you that these particular teachers, and I must say there was one in particular, was really pushing for my child not to go to school. And that, I mean, it didn't tell me, I guess, because, you know, fully well, they don't tell me foolishness like that, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't me, they know weak fence. I am not that weak fence. So what happened there? Why would teachers, and I'm not saying all, but particular teacher prefer to stay at home and not want to go into the classroom.
Okay. I can see that there's two sides. All right. In that view there, I would say that I think there were teachers who were probably genuinely scared. Maybe they were genuinely scared of the pandemic. Maybe they were genuinely scared of the vaccine. Maybe they had their own views. Maybe they had health issues. Maybe they were genuinely scared and really didn't want to put themselves or others at risk. From that point, I can say maybe you'll definitely have some people who are honestly thinking about others.
Okay.
And then on the other side to that, if it's solely for you to have that benefit of being at home, then you'll be a little bit selfish. For the most part, the teachers that I am in contact with, as a counselor, even myself, the others that I am around, they miss their children.
Okay.
They want their kids around. They, like my teachers, I will hear them all say, "Oh, I miss my babies." Like for me, I have this song where I like to say, "Guys, I can't stand on you sometimes." I tell them I want to stick you up in the ceiling. They hear me say that all the time. I want to stick you up in the ceiling. I said, but I would go for you quickly and pull you back because I love you guys so much. I can't stand on you, but I miss you.
Yes.
And I just love that you guys are around me. And before COVID, we are very close. We have always been close knitted, and sometimes I remind them, okay, guys, And so now with all of the distance, I have to be like, okay, guys, we can't be that close. We can't, because we naturally have a close relationship, and even physically, my kids, my students, I sometimes even call them my kids.
Yes.
They're very clingy to me. I'm like, okay, guys, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that, the relationship that I have with them.
Yeah.
But so for me, I have seen more of the opposite.
Okay,
I'm
good.
not saying that
Good.
doesn't exist, and I'm not saying that maybe even for financial reasons, because the reality is teaching from home, you actually save money. I won't lie.
Yeah.
You actually save money in so many ways, in food, in transportation, in clothes, in hair.
Yes.
My nail tech said, "Man, I haven't seen you in years." Right? I'm like, girl, I had no reason to do my nails.
Yeah.
Right? And so there are so many ways you save money. So it could be those things as well.
Yes.
But at the same time, I do think that there were teachers who couldn't wait to have their students back, who couldn't wait to see them around them, have them close by, and
this was a young teacher. So like if she was watching the effects on young people, that person would see that she was at lower risk. You understand? She's lower. She's way younger than me, and I just feel so. I honestly feel, well, but you make a good point. Maybe she had financial problems, so maybe she couldn't get to school or something. I'm not sure, but what would she be doing? Because they were being paid. We still had to pay. They didn't stop us. My kids are going to private school. So we still have to pay. So it's not like, so they were still being paid. And so so I don't know if that, but you do make a good point in terms, suppose it was financial, but then what would she have been doing if it was, if everything was normal, what would she be doing? You know what I'm saying? So my point is that certain teachers, I feel, definitely rose to the occasion. I saw certain teachers, men, I could see a joy in them.
yeah.
And I genuinely know that they are genuinely good teachers. Like, I know it.
And I think it's just like, because what we were saying earlier, how it's hard for them to get the information across through a screen.
Yes.
And so being there, they wanted to go back to help them get the little beads and put them together and, draw the line for the technical drawing. Let me see how you're putting the compass and all of these things, So I could see that could have been challenging.
And I again, I'm not saying the name of the teacher, but I would say that this particular teacher is probably just an exception, because with fairness, the other teachers, I saw that they genuinely seemed happy. So with fairness, let me just say that is the case. But Again, I guess if you want to be a teacher, be a teacher. If you don't want to be a teacher, perhaps you need to look elsewhere. And I think maybe that's the case with this particular teacher, because even like as a parent trying to reach out, that isn't forthcoming. And so I can say that that really showed me what was happening. And then I recently heard something, I don't really want to get into it, but my child was learning. I see now we can hear things. If on that particular day they get to stay home, we can hear. So like certain things, for example, I recently heard one of my children, the teacher was talking about girl, some female like other female, and some male like other male, and I'm like, and then my child repeated it, and I'm like, so you see, I have a big issue with that. Like, I don't support that. And so, and my child is very young, so to be telling my child about homosexuality, I don't support that at all. But I didn't hear everything, you know what I'm saying? So like, because I had walked out, and by the time I came back, I just, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't hear the context, and until afterwards, my child is telling me these things, and again. But I'm just telling you, we also as parents get to hear what is happening, how certain teachers communicate with children, you see? And so I could see the genuineness in most of the teachers.
Based on your listening.
Based on my listening, I could hear some of them. I'm telling you, even like I could definitely hear, like my daughter's teacher, main teacher. Oh my gosh, I could see she actually loved kids. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she does it, but I could tell you she actually loved kids.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It was a beautiful thing to see her actually. You could see it.
Yes, and you could feel it.
Yes, I could feel it, and she's an asset to the school. And to a great extent, the other teachers. We understand the teachers were suffering. Like, I understood it, because I said, Shigs, if I'm going through this, well, what is the teachers doing? Suppose they have kids too. What are they doing? Like, who's helping? So poor thing, she has to help that child too. And then she has to manage. And in the same time, when she or he is teaching, her child has to be in another room trying to learn. So it's not like she can be with her. And I'm saying she. It could be he. She or he can be in that room helping his or her child. You understand? So the teacher is going through, this problem as well. So we have the teachers, we have the parents, especially full-time parents. You have those wonderful parents who want to be housewife and love it, and they say they want they want to stay home, and I see them commenting, and they just don't want to send their children to school ever again, and they just want to teach their children, and the teachers don't mean anything to them that much, to some of them. So you have those particular parents, and then you have the students who I think have suffered to a great extent. They lost, like what Dr. Zenaida said, that social cohesion. When they went back to school now, they have to be wearing a face covering, a mask. So, like all my little daughter's friends, she was like, not all of them, a lot of the kids didn't go. I told you at some point it was only 2 of them or 3 of them, and so she would be there, and then I'm like, do you know how all day they have to keep that on? So she doesn't even know how some of her really look. Like, she's not sure because she's small, right? I'm sure Kelvin, it was different. But she wasn't sure at all. And even up to now, I'm like, your thing, it's still a little bit difficult because they walk through. I mean, they're getting used to the mask. I don't support the mass. You know, all day, that's me. I don't believe. I see poor, what's his name? Honorable Francis Fonseca speaking. They were interviewing, I think it was yesterday, or day before yesterday. And the poor guy is like trying to breathe. That's what I kept hearing. You know, he had on his thick Ministry of Education mask, and they're interviewing him. I don't know why he had on his mask, because he was outside. But I just heard him. He had his mask on, and he's like gasping for air. And I heard it. I can hear. I heard it. I don't know if other people are perceptive or they heard it. I heard it, and I said, man, I said, you know, this poor guy has to watch himself. He needs to take off that mask and try to breathe freely. I know he wants to be a role model, you know, in terms of, you know, do as I say, you know, and keep the mask on. You know, kudos to you, and that's fine. That's what you want to do, fine. But you're hurting yourself. And so if he's hurting and he can take it off, he was outside when they were interviewing him. How about these little children? You know what I'm saying? There's certain children who absolutely didn't like the mask. For a great extent, I think kids are better than for example, persons like me, who they will just go ahead and get used to the mask. You see?
And even when you see the kids sometimes with their mask is so dirty. It's all over their face, it's on their eyes, on their forehead. So like sometimes it's there, but I don't know how effective it is, because it's all dirty and roll up, and so
I know, I saw
sometimes.
And they kept losing it. Kelvin is the worst. Kelvin loses mask. Like, I'm a mask factory. I have to always be having masks for him, because he lose mask. You know, so the point is, it's like they're suffering, and if they get used to this mask in front of them, you know, I mean, I don't know. According to Dr. Zenaida, that affects them. That's why he's a medical doctor. He says that affects you. I mean, you shouldn't be wearing masks like that. The doctors use it, but it's not to like all day like that either, and it's, you know. So I don't know how the students, they manage, everybody is fine, there's no problems.
Well, for the most part, sometimes you have to keep reminding them to keep it properly on, right?
Yeah.
And so that is a challenge. Sometimes they have it here or there or under their necks, and I have to tell them, guys, remember where you're supposed to have it. And it does, like you said, it does messes with that social cohesion in terms of, I remember once I was in a session, but I could not figure out what exact emotion this child was portraying.
Yes.
And I was kind of getting frustrated in my mind, but of course I could not show that. And so at one point I told her, can you take down your mask just a second? And I asked her to continue, just to talk to me for a couple of seconds with her mask down, because I couldn't totally figure out her emotion of what she was expressing.
Yeah.
And so it does messes with that whole social.
It does. I just want to say, good night, Gregory Morrison. Yeah, all watching us from the U.S. We have a number of people watching us from the U.S., Canada, Mexico. Good night, Keenan. Good night, Keenan Flowers. Shu Shaput. Love your setting tonight, Miss Moya. Nice screen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Marisa Harris. I'm so proud of you, my sister, Miss Janisa Sankar. God's blessings to you both. Shu Shaput says, those masks are child abuse. They're child abuse. You see?
I think, like for me, I suffer sometimes with respiratory issues, and for me, the mask, that is definitely an issue for me. But at the same time, I have realized that simple things like a regular cold that I would have caught more often, I am not getting now.
Okay.
So I guess there is the benefit of
some
it.
benefit.
I won't totally,
Okay.
you know, but at the same time, I can see where it's really strenuous sometimes. So I guess it's, for me, like I take breaks
Yes.
Like, I won't just keep it on forever. Or if I see people by themselves walking on the street, there's nobody around, and yet they have on the mask, I'm like, really? Or like my family members, if they're in my car and they have on the mask, but we were just inside, I'm like, really?
Oh my God, you're like me.
So I think I'm always advocating to take it off if you don't have to know. If I'm in a bunched up place and people look like, you know.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't
And I wish
understand
this
it.
was something that we learned maybe before COVID. It would have helped us to prevent other diseases
Yeah,
sometimes.
nothing wrong. I mean, remember
But,
we used to see Chinese using it?
exactly,
We used to see
exactly.
Chinese. I remember I had, and this is years ago, I think it was in, long ago. I think it was either 2003, 2004, I was in, I think it was Taiwan. It was one of those Asia, Taiwan or Korea. And I remember lots of motorcycles. They have wide streets, right? And it's in the main area. I think this was in Taipei. I think this was Taipei. But this particular time was 2003, and they were just coming. But these people had on masks.
Oh, okay.
And remember, we were already used to seeing, and so it's from way back then.
Yeah.
You understand? This is way back then. So they were wearing masks from then. We weren't used to this thing. And so I see like Kelvin, I saw him today going to school, and he put on his mask in front of me. I got upset. You know, I was like upset. I was like seriously upset. I was like, Kelvin, you don't need to wear a mask here, man. Wait until you know. When he's in school, he could wear the mask. You know what I'm saying? Or when the areas where he's supposed to, like on a bus, you have to wear the mask. On, I guess, where did they say? The grocery store and those spaces. But man, don't be wearing a mask in front of me and walk into the vehicle or walking. Don't do that. It upsets me. But I think he has gotten used to this, and even Natalia.
And then not just used to it, but comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the part that I think really for me, because I don't want to be comfortable with it. But like I'm saying, I wish we knew all of these things a long time ago. Like you were saying, you saw people with it so many years ago. We would have been, a little bit more knowledgeable about what it can do.
Yeah.
And so
how about society? What do you feel distance learning has caused? Is it a positive or a negative on society? So, distance learning. I have my views on it, but I want to hear what you think.
Okay. When it comes to that societal, the social skills and that same societal, like you said just now, the social cohesion and all of that relational thing on society, for me, I think, especially when it comes to students and the distance learning, I think it's, for the most part, there's a lot of negative. There are a couple positive, and I must acknowledge that there are a couple positive, but for the most part, I believe that there's a lot of negative.
Tell us about some of them, and I want to hear some of the negatives, some of the positives. Yes, I do. Let's hear it.
One of the main negative that I have, and I'm sure that you've heard this over and over, is stress. Whenever I said, hey guys, how are you doing? Hey parents, how are you doing? Hey teachers, how are you doing? They're stressed. The entire distance, and like I said in the beginning, that this was something that was just thrown at you. It's not like we had experience. It's not like we knew how to handle this before. Oh, we used to do it this way in the 90s or in the 80s. No, nobody knew. And so for the most part, students had to just figure it out. And teachers had to just figure it out, and the stress that came with that was overwhelming. There was a lot of stress, and so one of the biggest effects that I have seen is that stress, and stress then leads to so many other things.
Yes.
Stress starting to lead to anxiety.
Yes.
I saw a lot of anxiety, and then when you spoke about the social cohesion, I thought about even antisocial.
Yes.
The mask created a space to, even if you were already a person withdrawn, well, that made it even worse. And if you were an outgoing person, removing your mask and going back to your old self is kind of a little different for you.
I'm free. I'm happy. So I was happy. But
Yes,
if
but
you are
they-
timid, I could see how
Yes.
it helped you.
It helped you.
You know.
And
Well, not in a positive way, but
Not in a-
you would feel it helped you because you're a timid person.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you're timid, you suffer from anxiety, paranoia. I could see how putting on a mask and knowing that people don't know who you are.
But the funny thing is, I remember hearing people who used to call themselves introvert and like to be away from people. For the first time, they realized, okay, this is not as great as I thought. You know, I'm suffering. I honestly thought that I love this, but this is too much away from people.
And I'm an introvert too.
Yeah.
Believe you me, I am an introvert. too.
Okay, and so you saw people that thought this was the best thing to be away from people because it's so much away from people that it started to affect even them, and they wanted a little bit more of being around people. And so it really affects us as a society because our social skills then it's falling, and then the anxiety started to build, the depression started to build, whatever way you used to socialize before is different. You can't go to a wedding, you can't go to a party, you can't sit in the classroom and ask your friend to borrow a pencil. Something simple like that you can't do anymore.
That's true.
You can't ask them, how did you get that answer? Can you show me? You know, sometimes your peer can help you to understand it sometimes better than your teacher if you're good. You know, sometimes kids has a way to relate to other kids. Oh, sir did this and then he crossed the letter over, the number, sorry, over here, and then he came to this conclusion.
Yeah.
And so all of that messed a lot with society, the stress, the anxiety, and so many, you know, emotional abuse in the mind and mental abuse.
I think that I saw people, to me, they got cold. They got colder, and I'm not saying temperature-wise, I'm saying I saw a lot of hostility. I saw a lot of intolerance. I saw a lot of judgmental, opinions, that just creeped out of particular persons. And when people were not wearing the masks or didn't want to wear masks, I saw those who wanted to wear it to a great extent. Those who wanted to wear it, who support it, they were just so judgmental and casting aspersions and trying to push their own take on it. And some of us who really did not feel that being isolated, being quarantined, we're okay with washing our hands, that's fine, but just all that social distancing, all that mask wearing was not necessary. I mean, if you're sick, then I'm saying, no problem. But it wasn't necessary for healthy people because it was messing us up, our breathing and all that. It wasn't helping. And I saw a lot of persons, they got so used to it, they felt that should be the norm. And even now, I see particular individuals saying, hey, you should still wear your mask. Even if you're out, if you care about people, still wear your mask. Hello? Why should healthy people, did God build us? Were we born with a mask over our face? We were born like our teeth. We have, you see, skin over our teeth. It protects us, right? So God put that to protect, our teeth. You know what I'm saying? So he protected certain things, our brain. You see, he put this skull and his face and this to protect the brain inside. But he did not put a covering over our nose. As much what he did, he put hair in our nose so that it could filter how we breathe, right? But he didn't put anything in front of our face to cover our breathing. And I mean even our mouth. We should be able to breathe freely, inhale, exhale. So I think that is what I saw. I saw people all of a sudden feeling that the abnormal is normal. And I don't know what happened there. And then being judgmental about it. And it's intolerance that I saw, no?
And I think it goes right back to that anxiety that came from it. That anxiety, that feeling of this is my comfort. This protects me. This provides me with security.
Yes.
This gives me hope.
Yeah.
This gives me, and that became their salvation, if you want to put it that way. And so that mask became the thing that they put all of their trust in. And I guess that's their way of coping.
Yes.
But at the same time, it can be positive in the sense that it's helping you to cope in a positive way. But I can see your point when you are putting other people down because this is your belief.
Yeah.
And so while yes, we've agreed that there is positive about the mask, and maybe it's your positive way of coping with the pandemic. Maybe it helps you to feel at ease. It gives you a sense of calmness to not have that anxiety when you're around people because you're getting so used to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess we have to make that balance where you have to respect others who has a different view. You have to respect people who feel like this is not my answer. I have some close friends, I have some missionaries, he spoke about that, and when I'm around them, they're like, one of them made this expression that a mask is like a chain link fence trying to keep mosquitoes out. He's from Texas, right? He says a mask is like a chain link, and I'm like, and then sometimes he's coughing, I'm like, put on your mask, you're coughing on me, right? And so he says a mask is like a chain link fence trying to keep out a mosquito. He's like, I don't believe it keeps out anything. But then my other friend, who's a doctor, she was right around us eating one. She kept on her mask the entire time. So I'm like, Lord,
so she's eating and she has on her.
We didn't start to eat yet, but we were about, we were hanging out and about to eat. But she kept on her mask the entire time. And so, like, she didn't let his comment sway her. They didn't have an argument.
That's
good.
So
you can see where both sides respected each other.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's how it should be. And so, what do you think moving forward? How do you feel? And then you spoke up. You said some of the positive, right? Or did you have any more positive?
I spoke more about the negative.
You spoke more about the negative. The only positive was that, like, I guess it kind of helped some people
with the anxiety.
Their anxiety. Yeah.
In terms of the positive, I would in the distance learning in general, I would say in terms of the positive, it helped because you were at home together so much.
Yes.
I feel like it helped. There were some families that it helped to build that relationship with each other. Kids got closer with kids. You're spelling at me like not really. Kids got closer with kids. Siblings got closer with siblings. Parents and children. Well, for some families, right, you have instances where they got to know something new about that person that they never knew before because they never spent that amount of time together. That's one positive that I have seen that.
Yeah. Some of them learn that another sibling could be annoying.
Yes.
Like annoying, a pain in the rear.
That's also a negative that turned into a lot of fights and a lot of there's even bigger things that it turned into different form of abuse that's a little bit further down the line. How they close the isolation, turn into maybe what would have been just a fight, now that we have this type of abuse, that type of abuse coming in, maybe even sexual abuse, all of these abuse that were maybe rare and happen now and again, happening more because we're together, we're frustrated, we're together all the time, and so the probability of experiencing any one of the forms of abuse, whether it's neglect, sexual, physical, or verbal, is more, right? But I was saying on a positive,
don't worry,
they are.
I'll be your balance. I'll say the negative.
There are sides where you can see you and somebody out of your family maybe got closer.
Yes.
Another positive I would say is that the kids were already in love with the screen, and so the distance learning through the screen was easier for some of them because it's already something they love. And so come, let's touch a screen and we'll be doing language, and we touch it and then we see all the verbs, and you touch it and it's math. And so the screen for my godson, I have a godson, and he learned all of the letters, and I'm like, Jaden, you are so smart. How come you learn? And he never put a foot a day in preschool, and he can tell me all his shapes, all his colors, even the sound of the letters. That was the one that amazed me.
And he
and just the screen,
his educational stuff he made
on the tablet.
Well, you're lucky, because my son, I have no problems with Kelvin. I always say that he's, I got lucky with him. But my daughter now, she just wants to watch games. As a matter of fact, I have over $800 going on $900 of games that because I had my phone and my stuff kind of sync and hooked up, to my credit card to pay for my different subscription for my work. And she went and she put charges for 99 US one game, 99 US for one game, 99 US for another game, 39.99 US for another game, 19.95 US for another game. A whole lot of Roblox, Fun Run. Anyway, I've never been a games person other than I played basketball and things like that, running and things like that. So she got a bit overboard, and when it comes to educational ones, man, I try with her. I try even tell her, listen, Natalia, I said, for example, Spanish. I said, listen, Natalia, I give her little Spanish ones to listen to. I said, do this. Once you know how to speak good Spanish, I will take you over to Chetumal. I'll take you over to Chetumal, a good 5 minutes she does it. And after, I don't even know 5 minutes, because one thing with her, all you have to do to get her to sleep, you just give her a book. You just give her a book and tell her to read. Within 5 minutes, Natalia is sleeping. She's out. So that little boy is like here and Natalia is here. So I didn't get lucky. I guess that's why I have this negative one. I wasn't a lucky parent. I didn't get lucky at all. So that's good if some students they rose to the occasion, and that's beautiful.
Even for my nephew, I remember he had good grades, but being at home and having his alone time, to just him and the computer and little extra help from everybody, now that his parents were more at home. And I must boast, right now he's at the top for this report card. He's at 3.99. Awesome. SJC gave out the list.
Yes.
And I saw his name at the top, Xavier Harris, 3.9. And I was like, wow.
He
never had those grades before the distance learning. He was passing, but he was never topping SJC.
Well, that's awesome. I'm a class
now he's in fourth form.
Okay, that is awesome then.
Yes,
so that's a positive.
2 years ago, he wasn't. Yes, he was passing because we're a strict family and he knows he can't bring any type of grades here. But to watch him at that level, that is because of distance learning. It was definitely a positive for him, and he was not excited to go back to school. He was excited in the sense that he has a lot of other extracurricular roles, but he shined in the being distant from the classroom and all of that. So there are a few that excel in this.
I guess, but I wanted to also say though that we spoke about certain negatives. The fact that I've heard of and we've seen in the news the escalation in domestic abuse, child molestation, because those kids. So now me, I'm there. I can protect my child. I'm a mother. I protect my kid, but I've heard quite a bit as it regards to molestation of children.
Because remember, school was my escape.
Yes.
school, you know, every time I
Yeah.
have students in my office, I'm like, guys, it's time for go home. Miss, I don't want to go home. I love being at school.
Yeah.
School was their escape. School was their haven, their safe place.
Okay.
And at school, they could have felt, if you could talk to a male teacher and know that male teacher will not disrespect me,
Yeah.
and that male teacher won't go too far. And
Yeah.
if he ever dares, that would be a big issue. But I know that talking to sir is a safe place.
Yes.
And even if sir goes wrong, somebody will protect me if I report sir. If I'm at home and I report somebody doing me wrong, it goes nowhere.
Nowhere. Oh my.
No, or even if it's a miss, because it can go both ways, right?
Yes.
You know, but when it specifically for sexual abuse and molestation that we're talking about, school is their safe place, school
Yeah.
is their haven, and you can run to your counselor, you can run to a teacher, you can run to
What do you do in those
someone where you
instances?
feel safe.
You would like let's say you were to find out, you know, this is happening. What would you do? I mean, what contact?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would refer it to Department of Human Services.
Okay.
And then they go and do their investigation with the police officers, and they have their counselors and their social workers, and if they need to do an evaluation at the hospital.
Yeah.
So they take over the process fully, and if it goes all the way to court, it becomes their case then.
I mean, you know, do you feel, and so you also contend that there has been an escalation of such
Yes, I
abuse?
would definitely say
Yes.
that, because in like going back to the escape, school is my escape and my safe place. No, I'm at home all the time.
Yes.
I'm there, I'm cooking food for that person who looked at me or touched me. I am helping them to do their laundry. I am doing my homework or my distance learning right there in front of them. I am sweeping I'm always doing all my chores, all my homework, everything is right there in front of that person. I'm in their view more than I have ever been before.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is crippling.
Yeah.
And there's no way to escape. And
Yeah,
so
that's a
even
poor-
if it's
poor
not
kid.
their shift, because we do it in shift system,
Yeah.
they want to, Miss, I want to come to school. I want to
Wow.
be there. I love school.
Yeah. So you guys can see when this happens, and yeah, because it's unfair. Like I'm like, well, I guess a typical parent, you know, you say, oh, you touch me daughter, you touch me
You're
son, you know, I
dead.
live to tell a tale, I live to tell. That's how we are, for that happening, it's terrible, it's terrible. But what else you feel is, what else is there? Negative or positive that you
I would say
on
another
society?
another negative, I would say, when earlier we spoke about stress, anxiety, depression. I think on that note I would also say, and then we spoke about abuse. On that same note, negative, I would say there's a rise of suicide.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and something similar, sometimes we almost put it in the same bracket, but it's different, would be self-harm. So I would say suicide, I'm going to talk about these three separately. When it comes to suicide, I believe you might say, but I don't hear anything about suicide on the news. But I feel like as a country, we're very hush-hush when it comes to
It's
our
not reported, 'cause I
suicide
know
rate.
about
And our
certain
rates are
it's not reported.
It's not reported as
Yeah,
a
it's
suicide.
not reported.
Because one, I don't want my family to look bad.
Yes.
Two, who are you going to blame?
Yes.
Three, there's many reasons why the reports, they'll say it's a disease, it's something.
Yes.
So the reports never go in as suicide, and so
I agree.
we don't get to hear, but that has been on the rise worldwide.
Yeah, it has been. It definitely has been. And it's something that, I could see, because the isolation of people,
The depression,
yeah, the
anxiety.
depression, especially, if they're unemployed.
Yes.
They're unemployed,
Yes,
so
that's
it's
hard.
It's
Can't
very
provide.
very difficult, and then having to deal with, children who maybe you can't cope.
Exactly.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, so I think definitely, and like I said, we can't really give a reflection as a country when it comes to numbers like, oh, it's increasing, decreasing, because we don't have that statistics.
Yeah.
But it definitely is.
Yes.
It definitely is. Another thing I would say is self-harm.
Yes.
It's something that maybe growing up, it's something probably you didn't hear a lot about.
Yeah.
But now the cutting, and different form of self-harm. These are another
So
way.
people are cutting themselves and things like that?
That's
Like
it's
some
more
of
common
them-
in teenagers.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And but what are those? Those are coping skills
Wow.
from stress and anxiety. Those are negative coping skills.
Wow.
Right? And so that's a whole nother thing by itself, a whole nother topic by itself that we
Yeah.
can get into. But that in itself is hard because I'm stressed out, I'm confused, and that is giving me a form of comfort.
Okay.
Well, you might say, how can that be comfort? Because even if a mosquito bite me, it's
Yeah.
annoying and I don't want another mosquito
Yeah.
to bite me, but there is a comfort that they feel and a relief at that point. And so that has been a coping skill.
Wow.
Also on the rise with this in terms of the negative.
Okay. So what's another one? Because
would
I would
also
want us
say-
to come back and speak on that because depression
Has
is
so
something.
many
yeah,
angles.
yeah, angles.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll be able to come back and we speak on that.
Okay.
You know.
And then you have, I would say, drugs, definitely drugs, whether, and alcohol, of course.
Okay.
And then another one that I made a note of was unhealthy relationships.
Unhealthy
Now,
relationship.
That unhealthy relationships could either be a gang or it could be a romantic relationship that's unhealthy, which would lead to teenage pregnancy, which would lead to diseases. And so the unhealthy relationships again is another crazy topic, or the gangs, so if you notice, these are all avenues of coping with the frustrations, the distance, not being around everybody like I used to. All of this is frustrating. And so how do I cope? Do I go to alcohol? Do I go to drugs? Do I find new friends? Well, these friends seem cool, they're giving me XYZ.
So I would say that all of us, well, I don't know how all of us, but we have been hearing a lot of young girls in particular, going on walks or trips with guys, older men usually. Haven't you seen like an escalation of that? That these little girls are going. Is it that they're at the point where they don't have anything to do, they're getting idle? Because to me I kind of see the escalation of it.
Maybe it's not just idle, but in terms of provision.
Okay.
This guy is helping me to provide my needs,
Okay.
and not just for me, but for my family.
Okay.
And maybe not just physical, but maybe even the emotional needs that they feel that this guy is giving for them.
All right. So, well, we have a lot to speak about. I would definitely, want that we speak about it another time. But give us some of your last words, because I know we do need to wrap up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, what would be some of my last words? Some of my last words would say that definitely the effects of distance learning on a whole, beside from the psychological effects, would definitely be the demotivation to get these grades in, to get the high school dropouts that are extremely on the rise. The high school dropout is going like crazy. The demotivation, Miss, I don't want to do these grades, there's so much to do. The missing grades. I would say even physically, they're gaining weight.
Yes.
Because they're at home, they're gaining weight, or the opposite, they don't have food. I know kids that are waiting to go home because parents lost their jobs, and so they have to wait. I'm like, you guys are not going to eat? No, miss, I'm going to wait until I'm at home now that they're going back. The appearance is affected, and so I'm like, guys, come on, you need to exercise. You're getting, even us teachers, it was funny, we all had to get polo shirts because we couldn't fit in our uniforms anymore.
Hey, I gain weight. I know
So-
they do say wrong is a shape. So, hey.
So it has been hard on teachers, on students, the lack of motivation. We've even had students getting jobs now because of the financial issues.
You're kidding me. So maybe they don't even want to go back to school.
That is exactly what is happening. They don't want to go back to school now because some of them are intentionally dropping out because they got a job and they feel like, oh, this is money. Money is nice. I'm like, no, darling, that's not money. Please come back to school. I need you to finish.
Yes.
But miss, I have money. No, you don't have money. And I have a nice phone. Yes, but there is so much more. You are not paying bills. You're still at home. You need to finish your high school.
I can see that. 'Cause
You
Kelvin
know.
Kelvin doesn't even want to swim. I was of the view, I said, well, Kelvin, we're going to one day have someone who, Belize needs someone or some persons to be able to represent in swimming for the Olympics. So I said, well, Kelvin will be able to start practicing and all that. Nah, Kelvin doesn't even want to go into the pool. He used to be able to swim fast, and he still can, but he wants to be a businessman now. He doesn't want to do any of that. So it's all about making money.
Yes, it's all about making money. And so, again, they're stressed out. School fees are unpaid like never before. And so parents are out of jobs, and, food is not there, and so parents they're getting jobs before their parents now, and so they feel as if though they are doing good, all right? And so my final words would say, I would encourage, I would encourage us as a people to let's try to see how we can get back something positive out of this. Spending quality time intentionally with each other and being innovative. Maybe your quality time with your family is different from mine. I remember I even gave my students some little minute-to-minute games to do at home with family, and I told them it had to be done with family because you have to send me videos. Imagine the tension that breaks in a home. When, come guys, we have to do a video to send in to Miss, and Miss says everybody has to be in the video, but they don't know why I am sending it. They just feel like it's a homework, but I know it's going to help that cohesion in the family. Spending that quality time, finding your family love languages, motivating each other, and love languages is another huge topic, what they like, how you can reach out to them. And so I would say let's turn it in a way that we can find some positive out of it. How can I use this to motivate me to bring back my family? How can I use this lot of time in a positive way? How can I focus more? How can I find a positive in distance learning? How can I push each other and help each other? And so I even remember one lady from my church, she's a retired teacher, and she started to help students. How can you help? How can you get others around, and let's bring this back together instead of, because there's so much negative. But we can't base on that.
No,
we have to see how we can come
back,
how we can bring it back together.
I like that, and I want to say that when it comes to one of the things I asked my kids recently, I said, because we started to play charades, and I would ask them certain questions just to build their critical thinking, because I always say, I always want them, I say, it can't just be academic, you have to have common sense. I need to know that you can reason, that you can critically think. And so, because I really want my kids to be thinkers and people who can reason, and not just academic wise, they have to have that. And so I will ask them certain questions, and charades is a good one, they force them to, and I asked them, what is love? And each one of them gave me, and I recorded them so that later on you can hear what they said was love. And you just do that, and you kind of force them. And I force them to I'll ask them questions, I force them to respond to I'll listen. And I even though I already know the answer, I want them. So it's just things like that. We can use the time to do positive things, just like what you said, and just try to come together, work as a family, come together. It's not easy. I know it's not easy, especially single parents. It's really difficult. But still try. We can't give up. We gotta give up. Be
Find
creative.
what's unique to your family.
So true, so true. So, Miss Sanker, Janicia, I want to tell you the time has flown by very fast. As a matter of fact, I see if you are still, but I want us to wrap up. And I want to say that it has been a pleasure, having you here discussing. I think that, as I told you, Nazarene High School is a good school. I think they are very blessed to have you there. Thank you. I hope to see you on the show very soon again. And I want to just say that just for however that we can help when you see certain things like what she mentioned, even in terms of the, possibly even child abuse, molestation, we got to speak up, okay?
Speak up.
We got to speak up. And speak up, do what you can. If it's you call services or you speak to the school counselor or so forth. A trusted adult, you got to do that, okay? Again, this program is brought to you by Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 miles Philip Golson Highway, 1 minute from the Halover Bridge. Awesome 40-foot pool, 6 feet deep.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you want to dive, you can dive. Persons like me, I love to dive. So you can dive, or you can swim, that's fine. There's a little shorter spot, it's like 3 feet 8 inches, so that's fine. You can be in that area. And then, of course, you have different levels of rooms and studios, suite, apartments that you can access. They all have air conditioning and, TV and everything, access to the pool and so forth. Internet, 615-4485, 615-4465, and 615-4467. Those are the numbers. Or go to www.seabelizevacation.com. Next week, we want to invite you here, same time, same place, for another education. This has been extremely educational. I see Keenan Flowers saying, very interesting and educational discussion you ladies are having. So that's right, it has been very interesting and educational, and that's what this show is about. So tune in next week. Thank you, Marvin Martinez, behind in studio, our technician, and of course, Kelvin LeBron Moya Flowers assisting. Thank you. Have a great and wonderful day. Blessed to you. Take it away.
Looking for the ultimate sea view getaway? Then Sea Belize Vacation Rentals and Tours, located at 5 miles Philip Golson Highway near the Halover Bridge, is your perfect sea view getaway. Come relax in one of our beautiful air-conditioned sea view apartment, studios, sea view rooms, or suites, all with flat screen television, hot and cold bath, and unlimited access to our spacious and refreshing 40 by 16 foot pool with 6 to 4 feet depth, so you can enjoy that fun and refreshing dive or dip in the pool. We sell ice cold drinks, so you can relax and unwind on our overwater or poolside decks. Contact us at 501-615-4485, 65 or 67.